Now, the assessing, I still haven't seen it. Can you just give us a tangible example how something from an EVP is going to make it for me to assess a graduate for an engineering role?
So we've discovered, we've converted the values of our organisation to a set of usable brand pillars, and we've understood how people engage with those brand pillars, why they deem them important, the sort of behaviours that we look for that support those brand pillars. That makes every interview, that writes the interview process. That writes, these are the things I'm looking for in this candidate. We can now start writing questions that tease out their opinion of safety.
Okay.
You know, what do you think of safety policies? Oh, they're boring. God, why do I have to do that? Why do I have to use two hands on it and 3 points of contact on the stairs whenever? I don't do that, we all pretend to do that.
Okay.
There's that interview over.
So you took the example of safety. I'm again trying to make that simple for someone like me. We use the example of safety in a heavy machinery or a mining sort of site environment. What you're saying, if we use that as an example, it's going to make sure that when I'm advertising or communicating with those candidates, I need to explain, hey, one of our important values or brand pillars are safety. Safety is very important in our environment. And then when they come to the interview, I also have to say, what do you think of safety and how much do you value safety? And do you think if we really emphasize on safety, that's too much or too little or, so I get it.
I wouldn't be leading questions like that. You would
extract that information.
You don't lead the witness. You ask them to give you their opinion of the merits of HSE policies, cool. Perhaps.
I'll stick to my job. I will never be a policeman, an investigator, or whatever you call it, a detective. Sorry. Yeah. Okay.
But no, so when we've analysed and we've established and agreed our brand pillars, we can then start writing down behaviours that we think support and erode those brand pillars. So if our brand pillar is, let's say safety is an easy one. So let's talk about a sense of community. If we have as an organisation, or a sense of social responsibility or justice, social justice, big one for Facebook recently. So many people are having a very different opinion of Facebook now because of that one simple thing. This unravelling of their transparency around social responsibility. It's a lot of people are now reconsidering working for Facebook and indeed a lot of other organisations.
When you say social responsibility, just give us an example what you mean by that.
The collection and usage of personal data.
Got it. Okay.
So you can write a whole set of interview questions around people's engagement with social responsibility. What does it mean to them? How far do they go to ensure that happens? And if you don't get the right answers, the interview's over very quickly. So the EVP can inform a lot of different points. It can then also inform or it can populate your performance management system or your rewards and recognition program. Beyond recruitment, once these people have been here for 6-12 months, you can start rewarding them or adjusting them depending on how they've performed against your brand pillars.
Wow.
So if we've got
important.
We've got two things. We've got a bunch of behaviours that reinforces this, not only within the organisation but externally as well, outside the organisation too, and then a whole bunch of stuff that's eroding our brand pillar of social responsibility or social conscience. And if you're proven to have undermined our social responsibilities, we can pull you up on that. We can measure people's behaviour very clearly. So it has three applications: writing the recruitment ads, interviewing and finding the right people, and then rewarding, keeping and promoting or losing the wrong ones. The other thing I would say about this is that you have to embed it internally first before you take it externally, because people have to get on board with this.
Externally?
Okay, so you've got 1,000 people in your company, and the reason we need an EVP is that we're growing by 20%. And we probably have got 10% turnover, so we're looking for 300 people this year. Is a reasonable assumption.
Sure.
Yeah. Yep. So 900 are staying, 100 are leaving, and 200 are joining. So of those 900, we have to have a communal agreement that they are going to support and act out the promises that we're making in the recruitment ads to the 200 that are joining us. So when they join, when we embed the EVP into the assessment process, the attraction process, but on day one, you hand over a new employee to a hiring manager or to the person that they will be reporting to and working for. That becomes a major fault line in the company's engagement. So you've curated this person, you found them, you've interviewed them, you've chatted them up into joining you, and you've persuaded them to commit infidelity to their current employer and come to you all these times, 4 or 5 interviews, and then finally sign an employment contract. And then on day one they arrive, and it's not you looking after them anymore because you're just the recruitment team. You hand them over to the person they will actually be working for, who they've probably never met, possibly never met. That becomes a major fault line. It's like when you've persuaded someone in marketing to buy a product and you say this is going to last 1,000 years and it breaks in 10 minutes, you've suddenly got a problem. So if that hiring manager doesn't support and act out the thing we're selling that we sold 3 months ago to this person, someone said to me, it's as a TA manager handing over a well-curated candidate, new hire, to the hiring manager, you look at it you do it with extreme trepidation. She said it's a bit like putting your 6-year-old daughter in an Uber at midnight. You don't quite know whether she's going to get where she's going.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
And that is a problem. That is a major problem for most organisations, is that we're rushing into this employer branding piece without actually embedding the truth in the organisation.
Yeah, a friend of mine went as far as saying, who's a senior talent acquisition person, the manager is everything. Every time I ask him about recruitment problems or retention problems, he comes back to the manager with everything. The culture, the flexibility, he goes, the manager can affect all these changes. He has to fight with the company to bring the right environment, the right tools, the right money, etc. No matter what I talk about, he goes, it comes back to the manager. That's how important, in his opinion, the manager is. He needs to understand what's important, meaning the EVP for those developers, and he needs to fight for them with his company, with his execs, etc., to make sure there's the right environments and the tools and the money and whatever else matters for those people. So I totally understand how, when you're talking about, when you're handing over your baby to that manager.
Well, there's an old phrase that people join great organisations and leave bad managers.
Here you go.
To summarise what that whole phrase. So that's why it's crucial that when we have agreed on our EVP, that we agree on what we stand for, what our sense of purpose is, that everyone does agree with that. Because if you've got someone internally, this is what I talked about with stakeholders earlier on, if you've got a detractor within the group here who accepts this but violently disagrees with it in some way, they will never properly represent it.
And hence there'll be a fault line created.
There'll be a fault line in your talent experience. Yeah, your people will be dying to get here, love the assessment process and the engagement process and day one of their job, or once they've got through their onboarding and induction, and all of a sudden it just goes, it all collapses.